Okay, so this is still lesson 3-9, and this is example 2 that corresponds with subtracting polynomials. So subtracting polynomials is where things get a little tricky, I guess. This is a very common thing that my algebra students still mess up. So subtracting polynomials is a little different because you're not just combining like terms like you are in the first one, or in adding. In subtracting polynomials, it's important that you're subtracting the entire expression and not just the first piece. And it's important, we do that. How? By putting it in parentheses. When we say it, I mean the expression. We put the expression in parentheses and then distribute the -1, then distribution the -1, distribute the -1. So here, if we take a look at this second example, on first glance, you might think that there is nothing that needs to be distributed, but there actually is that -1 outside the second set of parentheses that needs to be distributed. It's similar to how we had the +1 in light blue in example 1 outside of the second set of parentheses. But multiplying something by 1 doesn't change its value. That multiplicative identity property, right? Anything times 1 is itself. Whereas if we have a -1, though, it doesn't really change the number, but it does change the sign. A positive will turn to a negative, and a negative will turn to a positive. So that is why we have to deal with that. So the first set of parentheses can just get carried down, -4x plus 3y. And since there was nothing out there to distribute, I can just drop those set of parentheses. Now here, distributing the -1, -1 times 5y is a minus, or -5y. And -1 times -8 is a positive 8. And you should be using your calculator to double check that. So now we are just combining like terms. So let's see. I have not many like terms, just the positive 3y and the -5y. So -4x, that's going to leave me with -5 plus 3, or 3 minus 5 is -2y. And that positive 8 gets carried down as well. Final answer in simplest form. Be careful not to have two operation signs there. Remember, if you have a plus negative, that turns into just the negative. Yeah, I'm going to take a second here and show you why this is different if that wasn't in parentheses. If that wasn't in parentheses, 4x plus 3y minus 5y minus 8. And so while they're very, very similar, they're not the same, because in the first one, when you're subtracting, like we said here, you need to subtract the entire expression, all terms, right? All terms. In this case, both of them, because we have 2. But it could be 3, it could be 4, it could be however many. And that causes that causes the 5y to be negative, and that causes the -8 to change to a positive. And here it's not. This is not the same. And we're just gonna highlight that. Okay, now I'm going to move on.